What does a man leave behind in his rise to the top? Eric Magrini was born in 1975 in San Francisco. His family moved to Shasta County a short time later, and his father worked for PG&E as a forester. He grew up in a Christian home and was raised by a conservative family. As a child, his babysitter was a young high school girl named Patty Plumb.
We love our Eric. We love his family. I used to babysit him as a child.
Magrini attended Enterprise High School and graduated in 1993. He was active in sports, especially the football team, and was known for being a jock and a party animal. In 1997, he married Brooke Wells, 5 years his senior, who came from a devout Christian home. When Eric married Brooke, he became a stepfather to her young daughter, and they had 2 boys of their own a few years later. Magrini attended the Butte College Police Academy and graduated in 1997. One of his classmates was future Reading Police Chief Brian Barner. Magrini joined the Red Bluff Police Department in 1998, where he served as a patrol officer and later as patrol sergeant. His boss and mentor was Paul Nanfito, who later became the police chief of Red Bluff in 2009. Scandal broke out years later, after Nanfito received 2 letters of no confidence from law enforcement unions, alleging a lack of leadership and bullying. Nanfito was placed on administrative leave and resigned a short time later. In 2006, Eric Magrini left Red Bluff to work for the Shasta County Sheriff's Office, where he served on patrol. He would be with the county for 17 years, before things took a different turn. Magrini became an administrative sergeant in 2012. That same year, he investigated Shasta Lake Councilwoman Dolores Lucero. His investigation found that Lucero had falsified documents related to the recall against her. She was convicted of felony election fraud and sentenced to 30 days in jail. The Lucero conviction was a political win for Sheriff Tom Bosenko, who showed up to court to hear the verdict. And when it came time to pick a new undersheriff, Magrini was Bosenko's top choice. As undersheriff, Magrini worked closely with District 2 Supervisor Leonard Modi on a number of high-profile committees. In 2018, during the car fire, Magrini took Modi behind the evacuation lines to fill up his home generator. It was during one of those trips that Modi asked Magrini to take him to his neighbor's house so he could retrieve some bottles of expensive wine. It was not until a grand jury investigation 3 years later that Modi's abuse of power finally came to light, and he was recalled not long after. In 2018, Tom Bosenko ran for re-election. The sheriff was nearing retirement, but promised voters he would serve his full term. This did not happen, however, and only 10 months later, he announced his retirement. It came before the Board of Supervisors to appoint a new sheriff. Bosenko gave his full endorsement of Magrini, who told the Board of Supervisors that he was a man of honor.
I feel like I'm a person of integrity. Integrity is something that nobody, no man, person, woman, child, nobody can take from you. The only person that can give it up is yourself, and I've held on to that.
Dolores Lucero spoke forcefully against Magrini's appointment and predicted what was to come.
He does not have any morals. He doesn't believe in enforcing the law. He thinks he's above the law. He will be causing more damage to our county. He'll be a dictator where he will lie through his teeth. You'll see more lawsuits than we have in the past since Tom Bosenko's been sheriff.
Despite these warnings, Magrini was appointed unanimously by the board and was sworn in by Leonard Modi a few weeks later. During this time, the county was also hiring for a new CEO. One of the applicants was Angela Davis, who was serving as the Director of Support Services and was a longtime friend of Magrini. She and others interviewed for the position, but did not get the job, and the position was reopened for new candidates. One of those candidates was Matt Pontus. Pontus was born in 1973 and went to high school in northern Santa Barbara County. After graduation, Pontus had a number of run-ins with the law. In 1994, at the age of 20, Pontus stole over $400 from a private employer for which he was convicted of felony grand theft and served time in a work release program. That same year, Pontes attended Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where he graduated 9 years later. One of his classmates was future editor of the Record Searchlight, Silas Lyons, who worked on the student newspaper. Pontes' troubles with the law were not over, and he was again charged in 1997 for petty theft with priors. Pontes had his conviction expunged from his record, but hints of his criminal past emerged when the county offered him the job as CEO and performed a pre-employment background check. It was then that Angela Davis allegedly reached out to Eric Magrini to run a criminal rap sheet on Pontes. Captain Pat Cropholler was with Magrini during the call. He recognized her voice and saw her name on the caller ID. Cropholler was third in command of the sheriff's department and was a 30-year law enforcement veteran. In 2016, Cropholler was commander of the Major Crimes Unit, where he was in charge of investigating the Sherry Papini case.
Just incredible that, given her all these off-ramps in order to tell us the truth, she just wasn't going to do it.
I think we need my lawyer. This isn't making any sense.
Magrini asked Cropholler to run the rap sheet, but he refused, and Magrini had to run it himself. Cropholler said that Davis wanted the rap sheet to sink Pontes' appointment and put her back in the running for CEO. Magrini allegedly told Cropholler that having information about Pontes' past would give the sheriff's department leverage against him, and he advised Cropholler to keep his mouth shut. That did not happen, however, and Cropholler blew the whistle on his concerns, which led the county to hire an outside investigator. Running an unauthorized rap sheet is a serious crime, and depending on the circumstances, can be prosecuted as either a misdemeanor or a felony. Deputy Director Shelley Forbes came to the aid of her boss and told investigators that she was the one who actually requested the rap sheet. But this is refuted by Cropholler, who worked with Angela Davis for years and knew her voice well. The Record Searchlight also cast doubts on Cropholler's account and said that Angela Davis had no reason to ask for the rap sheet because she had already been offered another job in Siskiyou County at the time the illegal rap sheet was pulled. This is not true, however, as the rap sheet request happened on December 6th, and Davis did not receive a job offer until January, a month later. The whole truth may never be known for certain, as the investigators never interviewed Angela Davis and relied solely on secondhand information from Shelley Forbes. Neither Magrini or Forbes ever suffered any legal consequences for their actions, and Matt Pontes began working for the county a few weeks later. Magrini's first test as sheriff came in February of 2020 in the aftermath of an officer-involved shooting. The man who died was former Marine Corporal Thomas Barbosa, who served in Iraq. His time in civilian life had been troubled, and he suffered from severe PTSD, as well as drug addiction, and was considered suicidal. He had a history of violent interactions between himself and his family, and on the day of the shooting, was high on meth. What began as a welfare check for Barbosa and his family ended up hours later in a car chase in Ono, after Barbosa refused to comply with a traffic stop. Barbosa drove his truck off a cliff, and Sergeant Joe Gonzalez and others responded to the scene. Barbosa was conscious and had a knife in his hand. Though he received multiple orders to drop the knife before leaving the vehicle, he did not comply and was acting aggressively. When Barbosa began to exit the vehicle with the knife still in his hands, Gonzalez took a single shot from his rifle before Barbosa could close the distance between himself and a nearby officer. The shooting happened only a few weeks after a new law came into effect, making officer-involved shootings more difficult to defend. Initial reviews of the footage by Magrini and DA Bridget did not look good for Gonzalez, and there was a feeling by many that Gonzalez was about to be thrown under the bus. Magrini placed Gonzalez on administrative leave, and RPD was asked to investigate the shooting. Captain Cropholler, who had experience performing shooting investigations, was asked to review the report by Undersheriff Barnhart. By analyzing the video footage, he discovered that the Reading Police Department had miscalculated the timing of the shot by at least 14 seconds, painting a completely different picture of the scene. Crop Hauler summarized his findings and added it to the official report as an executive summary. Magrini did not agree with Crop Hauler's findings, however, and asked him to pull the report, but he refused. Based on the strength of that report, the DA's office declined to press charges against Gonzalez, and he was reinstated. Magrini never forgave Crop Hauler for sending in the summary, and he later moved him to the Services Division as retribution. Magrini's lack of support for Gonzalez caused a rift among frontline duty officers, who were unsure that Magrini would defend them if the time came. During the COVID lockdowns, Magrini was the chief emergency manager for the county. Magrini made it clear that the sheriff's department would not enforce any lockdown orders, but would instead try to educate and persuade the public.
Sheriff's Office works to gain compliance through education.
While many supported the sheriff's approach, others took matters into their own hands. One such group was a Facebook page called Exposing COVID Irresponsibility, which would later become Thought You Should Know. The page became notorious for keeping a list of local businesses that were not complying with the governor's orders. And Donnie Chamberlain also infamously published a letter to Gavin Newsom, begging him to step in and take over the county. Things came to a head in May of 2020 during the Mother's Day rodeo in Cottonwood, which saw a crowd of a few thousand people gathering out in the open. The event galvanized a community between those who supported the lockdowns and the majority who were ready to reopen the county. Amidst this backdrop of local unrest, the death of George Floyd only a few weeks later led to protests and riots across the country. In the first week of June, a protest was held in downtown Reading. The Cottonwood Militia, as well as local community group Stake in NorCal, organized a presence at the rally to make it clear that no rioting or looting would be tolerated. Both groups made contact with law enforcement, including the sheriff's department, to let them know they would be there. And they made contact with Magrini personally and were in communication with him throughout the night. Protesters were angry, but no businesses were harmed. In the aftermath, local liberal media accused Magrini of colluding with the militia groups and giving them orders. In a now-deleted article written by Annalise Pierce for a news cafe, Pierce insinuated that Magrini had worked closely with the militia and may have given them orders. This was not true, however, as a later investigation showed that while some information was shared, no orders were given.
He didn't say, show up, I want you here.
Sure.
That's
okay.
never what he said.
Okay.
But he said that, yes, our presence would be good to keep the peace since that's what we're here.
It was welcome.
It was welcome.
Okay.
A Facebook post by Magrini a few days later tried to assuage his liberal critics, but to many on the right, it seemed as if he had thrown the militia under the bus, and they were disappointed. Liberal groups called for Magrini's resignation, while others in the community showed their support. As the months rolled on and the lockdowns continued, tempers began to fray. Nathan Pinckney and others in the liberal minority saw the actions of the lockdown protesters as fundamentally racist.
This is basically a white supremacist movement here.
That's what this is. This has nothing to even do with mass. It's just another thing.
4 people pointed at me as I walked up from over there.
Right.
Because this is just a white supremacist movement.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
In November of 2020, Gavin Newsom issued a stay-at-home order forbidding Californians from gathering together on Thanksgiving. Shasta County Health and Human Services, led by Donnell Ewart, put out a PSA which recommended FaceTiming with grandparents and doing a virtual dinner party with friends, as well as making sure everyone in the family got their flu shots. Magrini made it clear, however, that he would not enforce these stay-at-home orders, which garnered him a lot of goodwill in the community. As the community wrestled with lockdowns and protests, the sheriff's department was also in turmoil. In May of 2020, the Deputy Sheriff's Association, which represents deputies and sergeants, took the unprecedented step of asking Magrini to their regular meeting to discuss their concerns. Despite being given the questions 10 days in advance, Magrini was unprepared and at times defensive. Deputies were concerned about the new use of force laws signed by Governor Newsom and wanted Magrini to assure them that he had their back, but this did not happen, and he was warned that the DSA would call a vote of no confidence if things did not improve. As racial tensions in the community were at an all-time high after the death of George Floyd, Magrini's way of handling the situation was immature. He circulated a picture of the South County Patrol Station and labeled it Precinct 3 after the police station that was burned to the ground in Minneapolis. And he said he hoped local protesters would do the same so they could get a new facility. And likewise, Magrini circulated a picture of Captain Kropholler with a Hitler mustache, mocking his German heritage, and again joked that it might incite rioters to burn down the South County Patrol Station. Things only continued to get worse in the department, and in January of 2021, 8 months later, the DSA held a vote of no confidence in Magrini's leadership. A few weeks later, the Sheriff's Administrative Association, which represented lieutenants and captains, sent a letter to the Board of Supervisors outlining their concerns about Magrini's leadership. As it turned out, the same day the letter was sent, a new position was posted on the county website for an assistant CEO under the leadership of Matt Pontes. Pontes hired an outside investigator, Ellis & Associates, to look into the allegations against Magrini. Captain Kropholler also filed an official whistleblower complaint and sent a letter to Ellis to document what he had personally witnessed, including the illegal rap sheet. Leslie Ellis is a lawyer based in Sacramento who graduated from UC Berkeley before attending law school in San Francisco. Her firm prides itself in conducting prompt investigations. Out of the 15 allegations that were investigated, 4 were sustained. Ellis based her assessment largely on what she considered to be Kropholler's lack of cooperation in her investigation, and she claimed he would not meet with her. But this was not true, and Kropholler says he spoke for nearly 2 hours with Ellis, though no mention of that interview ever made into the report. Ellis also claimed she asked Kropholler's legal counsel for documents related to his allegations, and was ignored, but Kropholler says that he never received any such request. Another glaring omission was that the Ellis report never interviewed Angela Davis, the Director of Support Services, who Kropholler said had requested the rap sheet from Magrini, though Davis still lives in the area and could have easily provided an interview. The Ellis report was released confidentially and was never meant to see the light of day. Rather than an honest attempt at finding the truth, the report appears to have been rushed to be completed before the announcement of the new assistant CEO. As it turned out, Magrini had applied and interviewed for the position and was looking to step down as sheriff. A week after the Ellis report was completed, Pontes offered Magrini the job of assistant CEO. A few days later, Captain Kropholler was placed on administrative leave without warning and was escorted from the building by Magrini and Undersheriff Barnhart. It was not until a month later that Kropholler was notified that he was placed on leave for minor administrative issues. Kropholler was exonerated of all charges and later reinstated by Sheriff Michael Johnson. Many felt that Magrini had punished Kropholler for filing the whistleblower complaint and that the sheriff had sunk beneath the dignity of his office. The ousting of Kropholler would be one of Magrini's final acts as sheriff, and he resigned 4 days later. He held the office of sheriff for only 17 months, and his tenure as assistant CEO would not last much longer, as everything was about to unravel.
Former Shasta County Sheriff Eric Magrini's first day as Assistant Chief Executive Officer has been a tumultuous one. He just resigned as sheriff to become Assistant CEO, and the first day on the job, he was hit by critical news releases from the Deputy Sheriff's Association, the DSA, and the Sheriff's Administrative Association. A letter was sent to the Board of Supervisors outlining concerns with leadership, morale, and potential illegal and unethical behavior.
When a sheriff steps down and the fake news doesn't ask him, "What's going on, Sheriff? Why would you step down from such a high honorable position?" It's because he is not an honorable man.
Why did a corrupt, horrible sheriff get a promotion and a 30% pay raise and is now kind of gone AWOL?
After less than 3 years on the job, Shasta County CEO Matt Pontes will resign next month.
I told the truth. I did not bully him, threaten him, or blackmail him.
I'm not sure if this was total incompetence or total corruption, that this litigation was hid from this board.